Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am thrilled to have you with us. It's Financial Literacy Month, so I will say there's probably no other topic that I love to talk about more than Claim Your Future. So I'm really thrilled that you are all here. My name is Mary Dyer, and I'm Financial Education Programs Manager at the Finance Authority of Maine. And joining me is Steve Kautz. Steve Kautz is our Financial Education Program Specialist. He joined us, it's like in a blink of an eye, Steve. He joined us in July, but I feel like he's been with us for much longer than that, although July seems like yesterday. Steve has been involved, for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet him yet, has been involved in the Maine Jumpstart Coalition for Personal Financial Literacy for a number of years, helping us create and execute our teacher training events. And Maine Jumpstart is a separate all-volunteer nonprofit that I serve as volunteer president in support of that organization. So not to confuse anyone, the FAME presentation we're doing now, but also Jumpstart. Um, Steve also has for many years been a classroom teacher. He worked at Wayne Fleet teaching math and personal finance. And so that sort of background and experience that he's bringing to FAME and has brought to FAME has been so critical and valuable in even just a short time. And so as we move through, he's out in the field on behalf of FAME presenting Claim Your Future, teaching Claim Your Future, and training educators to teach Claim Your Future as well. So I'll be sure to include him in the conversations as we move through and talk about Claim Your Future and how to execute it and actually implement it in the classroom. So we're super thrilled that you are with us. This is a part of our Wednesday webinar series. So we're glad that you're here. I just real quickly want to let you know that I am recording the presentation. So if you have to drop off, we'll provide the recording. We will provide the slides. And then I also want to emphasize, and we'll be really putting out a lot more information about this in the coming months, but I also want to emphasize if you would like us to provide a train the trainer opportunity for Claim Your Future at your school or at your organization, we're happy to do that, whether it's virtually to provide an overview of the digital platform, or if you want Steve or myself or one of our other outreach staff members to come in and present the classroom game kit and how to implement that in your school or organization, we're happy to do that. So if you've got colleagues or others that might use the resource, but you don't know where to get started, we're here to help you. We really want to build the usage of Claim Your Future in Maine, and we think that the best way to do that is to provide those train the trainer opportunities to you. So know that Steve and I are available. Just shoot us an email and we can set something up for you on site or virtually to offer additional training. All right, so, and I may have skipped a slide. No, I guess I didn't. Real quickly, so what we're going to cover a lot of ground today. I want to provide you with a program overview, and I'd love it in the chat just so we get a sense of the audience. I saw the registration list, but I don't have a sense of whether Claim Your Future is brand new to you or you're using Claim Your Future already and you want to learn about the enhancements that we've just launched. So if you want to put that in the chat, then Steve and I will kind of know where you're at in terms of knowledge. But what I'd like to do is just give you a general program overview. And that will include sort of the learning objectives, things that we want you to know about, or sort of our goals in terms of the learning objectives. I'll talk a little bit about the standards that we reviewed and incorporated when we built Claim Your Future. We'll talk about the classroom game kit and the online version, those two versions that we offer. I'll briefly talk about the educator guide that's available. And then I also want to give you an update in terms of the recent enhancements that we've made to the online game. We're really, really excited about the new features online, and we want you to know about that as well. And then I'll also provide an update of what's to come in terms of the classroom game kits. We are getting ready to do an update of those as well. So we'll talk about that as we move along. Now, if you want to add questions to the chat, I would love for you to do that. And we'll, as we move through, either I'll pause and answer any questions that you have, or at the end, we'll take time for those questions. But please feel free to provide feedback or questions along the way. Don't hesitate to do that. And then briefly, for those of you that aren't familiar with FAME, I have no doubt that all of you are, but just as a reminder, we are a quasi-independent state agency, and our whole purpose and mission is to provide financial solutions to help Maine people achieve their business and higher education goals. Steve and I serve as part of the College Access and Financial Education team, but as you can see from our titles, our focus is very much on making financial wellness resources available both to FAME employees and to individuals across the state, as early as kindergarten all the way into adulthood. We have a whole host of financial wellness resources. And on that note, if you have not, and I'll talk about this again at the end, but we have launched a variety of new and enhanced tools with April as Financial Literacy Month. So we have a new personal finance blog. We've done the major Claim Your Future update. We've added new resources to our website. Our financial wellness social media toolkit has been redesigned and refreshed. So if you didn't receive the email announcing all of those tools, we want you to join our mailing list, and you'll find all of that information if you visit the financial wellness section of FAME's website. And when we get to the end and we do the Claim Your Future demo, I might take you on a quick tour of that financial wellness section of our website. But if you're not getting those financial wellness updates, we want you to join our mailing list, and we want you to have that latest and greatest information about what we're doing, because there's a lot new and a lot being redone and changing. So we want you to stay on top of that. So Claim Your Future. Before I dive into the learning standards and those details, I just want to give you a little bit of background about Claim Your Future. Claim Your Future was created when I first joined FAME almost 17 years ago. We had a simulation, a career and financial wellness simulation activity that at the time was called Get a Life. And I don't even know that it had that name right in the very beginning, but we had this big box full of cards and a budget worksheet and this very unwieldy kind of tool that we used in classrooms. And I was tasked with designing something that was sort of a turnkey, much more compact, easy to use, engaging tool. And that was when the first version of Claim Your Future, which was called Get a Life, was created. And then we did a major redesign in 2018 and a big refresh. And so we've been using Claim Your Future. It was created by FAME. It's made possible by FAME. It's 100% free here in Maine, both the classroom game kits and the digital version. But we've been playing it, and we've been modifying and enhancing it for many, many years based on educator recommendations and feedback. And you'll see that in the new enhancements this year. It's played in Maine, both online, but also in the classroom, facilitated by FAME outreach staff or by classroom teachers, school counselors, other professionals in their organizations or schools who have, received training or have, perused the educator guide and are, teaching Claim Your Future on their own. It's played in every US state. And, frankly, to be honest with you, Maine is not the highest usage state digitally online. It's actually Texas. I was just looking at the past year of usage, and 20,000 students in Texas have played Claim Your Future over the past year. And so that's something that's happening across the country. They're using the online version. And there's value in that because, again, a lot of that feedback that we're getting from other educators across the country help us to enhance the version that we are making available to you. It's also been played in over 90 countries. And in the past year, I looked at the data, about 250,000 users have played Claim Your Future online. So that doesn't reflect our in-person, in-state classroom activities, but that just gives you a sense of usage in terms of what's going on with the tool. As I said, it's 100% free. So we designed it for Maine. We created it for Maine. It's available outside of Maine, both online and outside organizations, or organizations and educators outside of Maine can purchase game kits, but the classroom kits from Maine K-12 schools and any educational organizations and nonprofits, we make it available 100% free. So we want you to be aware of that. Um, so that's really kind of what we want you to know, in terms of the background of the game, how it got started, how long we've been playing it, and how it's evolved along the way. Now, the whole point of the activity or the program is to provide middle school and high school students, and I'm going to talk in a moment about the grade level, but essentially, the whole goal behind it is to provide them with a chance to consider the ROI of their future career, education, and financial decisions. And so it really is, I mentioned a simulation earlier, it really is an opportunity for a student to test out their future self, their future life, a career, an educational pathway, and to create a monthly budget based on that, to help them really get a better understanding of what do people earn for the careers that they select? How does that earning capacity tie back to the number of years in college? You know, how does education impact their future earnings? And then how do those financial decisions impact the money that they have available and their financial freedom? What we find when we're in classrooms, whether it's very young students in elementary school or in college, you know, it's very common for young adults in particular to not have a sense of what people earn and what things cost. And so Claim Your Future really is designed to provide them with that reality check, that real, example of what it costs to live. So what you will find, and I'm going to talk about the enhancements on the digital side, but the career data that we use for Claim Your Future here in Maine is specific to the state of Maine. And so that median income that you will see represented in the digital site is that's that median income for those careers that we have selected. And then in terms of the cost of living, we are actually pulling that data from the Consumer Expenditure Survey for the Northeast. So we're actually looking at cost of living relative to this region. So it's not, national data or data that's not relative to where we live. That's one of the lovely things about Claim Your Future is it's customized specifically to the state of Maine. And so that you're sharing with students salary data and cost of living data that's relevant and accurate for where they live. Now, that being said, I understand that Maine is a very big and diverse state economically, and so the cost of living to cover your rent or a house purchase in northern or down east Maine is going to look very different from southern Maine, as any cost of living element may, and the salary data. So there is some, of course, going to be some diversity, but the concepts that we are helping students to sort of understand are not going to change, if we're off a few $100s here or there. So I just want to call that out because we customize it for the state of Maine. We customize it for the Northeast in terms of the cost of living, but we do, once in a while get students or professionals that we're working with who will say, well, that's not what a dental hygienist earns in Washington County. So remember, we're using statewide median income. But that's really the whole point. We want them to test out their future. We want them to have a hands-on activity where they can get a better sense of what things cost and what earnings look like and what that career and educational pathway might look like for them. Another big part of it is we want to really inspire them to begin to have a dialogue about their future goals and aspirations. What do you want to be when you grow up? What is it going to take to get there? What could you be doing now to ensure that you achieve that future career goal? Another big part of Claim Your Future, and you'll find in the educator guide, we actually have a glossary of terms. We want them to become or begin to become familiar with some of the terminology around post-secondary options, career and college exploration and financial wellness. So that's another big part of it. Of course, creating a balanced budget. We try to really emphasize that the way that you win Claim Your Future, if you will, because we do position it as a game when we're in a classroom, is that you have money left over at the end of the month. You've covered all of your expenses, you've set aside 10% of your earnings into savings, and you have money left over. That's really kind of how you win. And then again, that savings conversation is really important as well. Now, when we designed and then redesigned and enhanced Claim Your Future, we did take a close look and really do a crosswalk in looking at both Maine's learning results for personal finance and economics and the Jumpstart national standards for K-12 personal finance education. And the National Jumpstart Coalition has reviewed it to determine that it's aligned with the national standards, and they do include Claim Your Future in the National Jumpstart Clearinghouse. So we did pay close attention to, what standards were we addressing, and were we well aligned, as to the best, that possible, were we well aligned to those standards? And we did take a look at that. So I want to go back just for a moment before we dive into, the classroom game kit. I get a lot of questions about kind of the logistics. What's the best grade level? How long does it take? How many students would you play Claim Your Future with in a classroom at one time? So in terms of grade level, I will tell you that the vast majority of users online and those that we go into the classroom and present to tend to be middle school and high school. So it's, middle school, early high school, and into high school, really. That's where we see the most activity. I would say an ideal sort of sweet spot of grade level is middle school, because the earlier that we can begin to develop that career pathway and that career pathway planning, all the better. So if you ask me, we want to offer it at our school in our district, where should we start? I would love to begin at, middle school. In terms of earlier than that, I've played Claim Your Future with students as early as fourth grade. In particular online, because it does the math for you. You're not having to navigate the budget worksheet. You could probably even play it with a third grade or earlier. It really depends on the literacy levels of the students that you're working with and their numeracy skills. But I think as early as fourth grade is possible. Middle school is kind of the sweet spot, but it's played into high school, college, and we've used it with adults. We have adult programs that have used it as well. So I think that the key message is that it's flexible. It can be taught at any grade level, and you are simply, as an educator, going to adjust and tweak how you present it and what you focus on and how much time you give each section of the activity, dependent upon the age of the students that you're working with. But it's highly flexible. In terms of the time that it takes to use Claim Your Future, in terms of the classroom game kit, I would say the absolute minimum amount of time would be 30 minutes. And when I say 30 minutes, I mean they are seated, budget worksheet in hand, pencil ready, and we're not talking about transition time and settling in time. We're talking minimum of 30 minutes. Now, ideally, I'd like to have a full, 45 minutes, a full, if you've got a double block and it's 80 minutes, even better. But the minimum would be 30. And then if you're on your own and you're wondering, how many students can I play it with at once? Each game kit comes with 50 unique wheels. But I probably wouldn't tackle any more than 20 or so students. But those of you who are in the classroom, you already know how many students you can manage all at once without another facilitator. I certainly would never tackle 30 to 50 without some help. So just to kind of give you an idea of the time that it takes. In terms of the flexibility, Claim Your Future can be used as, a career activity. If you're beginning a unit on careers, it can be used in conjunction with a financial wellness unit. It could be a kickoff activity or something that you could build out into a larger lesson. So again, very flexible, really can be tailored to whatever time age of student and, focus that you have at any given time. So, and that was very intentional when we designed it. We wanted to be able to have the flexibility for us to be able to present it and use it in as many classroom settings as possible. So I've talked a lot about the classroom game kit. So let's just kind of go over what comes in a game kit. As I said, each game kit includes 50 unique wheels representing a variety of different careers. And again, this is very intentional. We have everything from very introductory minimum wage, right out of high school jobs, all the way up to doctoral degrees. So a lot of variation and everything in between: certificate, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's, military. I mean, the trades, we're really trying to represent a variety of options with the classroom game kit. When we built the online version and the classroom game kit, we also took a look at high wage, high demand careers in Maine and made sure that we represented some of those online. And then, of course, we want to sprinkle in some of the careers that students are just really interested in. And that changes over time. But, we want to be sure that we're inspiring students and engaging them around careers that they are interested in pursuing. So that's sort of how we came up with the careers that we selected. But there's 50 unique wheels representing a different career, a different educational pathway, and of course, a different salary in each box. Available for download. So in the box, there's an introductory kind of welcome letter. And on the back side, there is the budget worksheet that you'll need in order to play the game with the students. But online, there is a full educator guide that takes you through all that you'll need to know about using Claim Your Future. It's intended to be a turnkey game that we send you a kit, you download the educator guide, maybe you watch a video or two, but you really can open the box and get started. You don't need a lot of pre-training. Again, we're available to offer that. We want to offer that, but it is something that you can implement and use in relatively short order. The budget worksheets online are available for download. There is a certificate of completion, other online resources. We've got some animated explainer videos. We've got a webinar series. We'll get this posted on the website as well, so you'll have that. Again, we offer train the trainer sessions. And as I said, we've got those explainer videos as well. So lots of resources. And if there's anything you'd like us to add, we want to hear about that. We absolutely want to hear about that, and we can add that along the way. Now, the educator guide, as I mentioned, it has a detailed lesson plan, literally step by step. What are the conversation starters and the questions that you offer? What are the learning objectives? It literally takes you through step by step how to present Claim Your Future. We also include all of the game methodology, the sources, and some of the assumptions that we made in the data. We get questions about the data, and so we want to be sure that you have all of that background information. You'll find a budget worksheet, the optional activities and assignments, some additional web-based resources, and as I mentioned earlier, that glossary of terms that we have available. Now on the website, and that you can access the online version at claimyourfuture.org. On the website, we have 125, and I actually think, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, we might have 126. We might have a little bit of a odd number there with the new enhancement. But we've got a much more significant set of career options. In addition, unlike the kit, there are descriptions for each career. There is some key vocabulary. There is now one of the new enhancements is we've got links within each of the careers to a career video that's like an explainer video of that career and what that person does. Some really great videos that were developed by Career One Stop that we've embedded on the site. There's a pre and post assessment built into Claim Your Future Online. This is a series of questions, and they are required both at the beginning of the online game and at the end, that is attempting to determine the impact of the activity. And this is data that we collect for ourselves to enhance and evaluate the effectiveness of the game. We don't make this data available to you for your students, at that level, because we're not actually collecting any student level data. We're really avoiding any PII or any, personal data for those students. So we don't have a way to share data with you, but we do collect that pre and post assessment data, and we study that as well to see, what impact is it having. When they work through the online activity, and you'll see this in the demo, unlike, again, the hands-on classroom game, they start to, they see a visual representation of the money that they've spent. And if they overspend, it gives them a warning. There's a pop-up that says, okay, you broke your budget, you need to go in and make some adjustments. And again, the additional resources are there, the budget worksheet, certificate of completion, everything that you need in order to get started. So I want to pause here for a moment before I get into the updates and enhancements, because I want to talk a little bit about Claim Your Future. Two things. First of all, Claim Your Future Online. I get the question. I actually got a question from a parent who's using it with their child, and they wanted to know, how long would it take? Online Claim Your Future, if they're going to work through and really read each of the sections, maybe they watch a video, you're probably still looking at a 20 to 30-minute activity. Now, that's not to say that students can't blast through this in, 10, 12 minutes really quickly, or even quicker than that if they're not really paying any attention to the information. But just to give you a sense of how long it takes, if you're wanting to use Claim Your Future Online, I want to give you that kind of general time frame. The other thing is, I mentioned at the end, when they get to the end of the game online, their results sheet is printable, and they can also save it. So if you want to assign Claim Your Future Online, you can have them provide you with that, their results budget worksheet page as evidence that they've completed the activity. So just wanted to mention that as well. Now I'm going to ask Steve to unmute here in case he wants to add anything. But in terms of the classroom game kit, when we play Claim Your Future with students, again, we don't have a lot of time usually. So we really built how we do it with that big factor in mind. We might do it a little bit differently if we had, a week long, or a whole unit with a student, but we usually have the 30 to 45 minutes or an hour with the classroom. And so when we come into the classroom, we randomly assign wheels. We don't let them choose their career when we're playing with the game kit. And that has several benefits. First of all, it moves along the pace, but it also gives students an opportunity to learn about careers that they might not know anything about. So it really accomplishes that. They might get assigned something that they don't even know what that career is all about, and we have that conversation. The other thing that it does is it creates this result within the classroom that you've got diversity, economic diversity across the room. You've got students who are, high school diploma only, they are, minimum wage or maybe a little bit higher. You've got students who are, certificate, associate's degree and beyond. And so what's happening is, without us having to really teach them, they are beginning to learn very quickly that additional skills and training and education leads to more money and the ability for them to, have more freedom as they're making those spending choices. So that's how we really kind of tee it up. We randomly assign them. We explain the game and how it's going to work before we hand them anything, because once you give them that wheel, they are, gone. They're looking at the costs and they're spinning the inner wheel, and we've lost them. So we really do try to explain how it's going to work. We give them the budget worksheet, and we give them time to work through the activity. But it's a lot of conversation. We kick off with, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then we spend a lot of time having conversation at the end as well. So just wanted to kind of give that little bit of background in terms of what it looks like in a classroom. Steve, is there anything in particular when you have used it that you want to share in
Yeah.
terms of your experience?
Yeah. I think for me, the way my brain approaches it and that teacher, that classroom part of me for all ages, the big picture is it's career, the connections to education, the connections to financial wellness are sort of the umbrella. And that's what all of this is centered around. And that's fantastic. However, within that or under that umbrella, the math teacher in me, the personal finance teacher, the numbers guy, the parent in me looks at how this activity can help build comfort with numbers in terms of, the budgeting part of it, looking at in the simulation what things cost and how those costs relate to one another at all of the ages. And I've done this grades 5 through 12 and all of the grade levels. They all get something different out of, oh, what's the relative impact of housing in my budget compared to food. Whether the housing numbers are exactly accurate based on what Mary was saying, because they're averages, they're medians, isn't the point. The point is the relative cost of things compared to income in different careers and how that all works together. And as an adult using this or as a classroom teacher, anyone, you can riff off of it to get deeper into looking at percents as a topic or basic math skills or looking at the cost of housing. So there's the big umbrella topics, and then there's so many things you can use to spin off of, and that's where I think incredible value in using this as an educational tool with whoever your audience is. Just the applications are endless.
That's great. Thank you, Steve. And I will say that of all of the things we do, I would say that Claim Your Future tends to be the most popular among students because they love that hands-on, you know, simulation where, they get this wheel, they are starting to think about their future life. They have an opportunity to spend money. And, so it's fun. And again, we do position it as a game, which they get excited about that. One could debate, is it really a game? I don't know. It's a wheel. So I'm calling it a game forever. But they get really excited about that. And, even the students that we sometimes have a difficult time engaging, Claim Your Future certainly provides them with kind of that hook to really dive in and learn more. And, if I find I'm in a room and I'm just not getting any, it's kind of crickets and I'm not getting there, if nothing else, I get into the automobile discussion and what's your favorite, what's your dream sports car? And are we getting a luxury car? Are we getting a used, car? We get into those conversations about car or food, or we get into that extras section where we start to talk about, wants versus needs and how do we fulfill all of our needs and pets and, so there's something for every single student to motivate them and engage them to have a conversation about these topics. So it really is by far one of our most popular activities among students. And I know Mila Tappan on our outreach team has said that when she goes back into the school years later, sometimes to do a FAFSA lab, she's had students say, hey, you're that Claim Your Future lady. So it's memorable, it's hands-on, and it really gives students a chance to test out their future. So it's one that if you request a game kit or you use the digital version, I think that you will find that your students will be highly engaged and they'll want to play it again. And that's something I want to mention before I go on to the online site. So I mentioned that we randomly assign, we don't give them a choice. And I'll say to them, in real life, you do get to choose, but how you prepare now is going to impact those choices. And so at the end of the classroom game, they all want to play again, but they want to select a career. And so that's where I, share with them that there's an online version that they can go online. There's 125 careers they can play over and over again, testing different careers. And so I use the online when I'm with students in a classroom as the follow-up activity. However, I know other educators who are using online exclusively. So it can be done in many different ways, but just wanted to mention that as well. So I'm going to stop. Well, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you just a quick slide of the updates and enhancements. Then I'm going to go right to the online site and do a quick demo. So one of the things, this should be obvious, at a minimum, what we've done in terms of the update is we have updated all of the salary and cost of living data. So we have gone and done all of the research and updated the data. And I want to give a huge kudos to Steve for helping with this. It's not any small undertaking. It's pulling, median income for the 125 careers and doing lots of modification of that. We just don't, take the raw data and put it on the site. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that go into that. So we've updated everything, and it's 2022 is the most recent data that we have access to. And so we've done that update. As I mentioned, and you can see on this screenshot here, this watch career video, those have been embedded in the site. So every career has a career video if the student wants to learn about that future career, what that's all about. We've also added, and again, giving Steve the shout out for this idea. I love it. It was something he brought to us very early on that he felt like we needed to do. In the past, and I see in the chat, Claim Your Future is brand new to many of you, so you won't know any different really. But in the past, we have there are some deductions that we make from the monthly income, taxes, insurance, and it used to also include student loans. We would just automatically deduct that. And that monthly income that student had to work with was kind of after those sort of what we deemed sort of required expenses. Steve's suggestion was that rather than automatically deducting student loans and having that really be a passive, expense, that instead we make it very active and that they actually have to go in and deduct their student loan payment themselves. So I know those of you who are familiar with Claim Your Future are going to love this enhancement because it really keeps it top of mind, and they have to take action and go in and select that amount based on their educational level. So that's one of the enhancements. The other thing that we did, and you'll see this at the end, is we have a comparison now. So say the student has selected, engineer, and they go through the whole activity. At the end of the activity, we then show them a couple of other careers if they were to consider another, and it really provides them with a comparison. And that came from a suggestion that we received from a teacher outside of Maine. They wanted the student to be able to really compare their results with other career options had they made that. Another piece that we've modified is we used to have again, from that monthly income, we would deduct insurance and taxes, and we always would use a 30% flat rate. We met with finance people and our accounting team, and we just said, let's keep it simple and we'll just do a 30%. But then again, we brought Steve, our numbers guy, and he said, hey, how about we make it more relative to the income? So Steve, I want to pause here and have you describe that enhancement specifically in terms of the changes that we made to that.
Yes. And you won't see this other than if you start comparing them. But basically what I did is I took the 6 federal tax brackets and condensed them into 3. And then I applied that to the 126 careers and median salaries and broke it out into 3 categories, therefore taking the taxes out. So in general terms, it's relatively more accurate that a lower income job has less tax taken out than a much higher income job on the Claim Your Future simulation. Within each category, some of them may raise an eyebrow and say, well, that doesn't seem, yeah, it's because the range is so massive. Again, there were 6 brackets. I broke it down to 3, but in case you're wondering, the tax deduction is relatively good compared to the income levels.
Great. Thank you, Steve. All right, so I'm going to stop my screen share here, and I want to take you to Claim Your Future Online. All right. Let's see. There we go. That's the one I wanted. I knew it was there. So I've bypassed some things, just so you know. So I went to claimyourfuture.org. I selected Maine. I've kind of bypassed some of the early stages, including pre and post testing. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. So when they first begin, they get a game ID, and if they want to jot this down, they can come back if they don't get through the whole game or they want to play again. They can use it in that way. But again, that's in terms of assigning the user anything, that's all that we're assigning them. They're not, signing up with their email or any personally identifiable information. But just some instructions there before they play the game. So I'm going to go ahead and click play the game. And so what happens when they first begin is it's randomly assigning them, just like in the classroom, we're randomly assigning them. So in my case today, I'm a software developer. And so as I mentioned, we've got the description of the career there, right there on the left-hand side. It gives them their annual income. And if they're wanting to know what that means, and these little question marks, you can hover over and it explains what's included, what might be deducted. So they've got their annual income, their monthly income, the degree that's required. Again, if they hover over that, there's an explanation there. And then they've got the career video, and I'm not going to click on that and take you there. But again, the career video sort of follows them through. So it's nice if they don't notice it right in the beginning, they're going to see it as it moves through. Now, if they want to choose a different career, they certainly can. So if you click on this drop down here, these are all of the 126, and thank you, Steve, for confirming it was one extra career this time around. So 126 careers, they can select any of them. So I'm going to stick with software developer because I'm liking that annual income today, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, and it's knocked me back out to my starting page here. Let's start over here. All right. Is it still following me, Steve? Now I'm going to be an architect. Let's go with that. There we go.
Yes.
Am I on my pay myself first page?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I got that teed up earlier and it was a little while ago, so it must have timed me out. So one of the first things, so you see up at the top here, that is that progress bar, it gives them kind of the remaining funds available. Over here on the left, again, that career, their annual income, their monthly income, that stays with them along with the career video. So one of the very first things we do, and this is not required, it's embedded in the online game, they have to put aside 10% of their monthly income right into savings. So that's automatic. So no choice there. So we build that in. So then they click on loans, and this is where I have to select my student loan payment. And they can't just keep going. So they can continue on, but they can't really finish the game unless they make a choice within all of the spending categories. Now, one caveat, they could select the wrong amount. It does allow them to do that. But we're hoping is that depending on your educational level, which is clearly right here on the left, they're going to select the correct loan amount. And if you're curious about the methodology behind this, you'll find all of that in the educator guide, we took the aggregate indebtedness limits on federal loans, and we did some calculations based on that. So if you're wondering about that, we've not built in, if they've got private loans, we're really limiting it to federal loans. But we know that even within the numbers that we offer for the simulation, there's students who either don't borrow loans at all or who have six figures even for a 4-year degree. So, again, it's very difficult in a simulation to be very specific for that student's situation, but the methodology is available to you if you're wondering how we arrived at these numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and select my student loan payment. Now I want to overspend here. I'm going to try to. I think I probably can make that happen. So I'm going to own my own home because I want to show you what it looks like. Now, what you'll notice is that when they make a selection, there's a description of what each of those things mean. So if they change that selection, it does the same thing in student loans as well. So I'm going to go ahead and own my own home. Um, and I'm going to get fancy with my food budget. So again, if they click on the food item, we've got 4 different choices. They've got basic, average, organic, gourmet. It explains what those options are. And again, these are all updated on the latest cost of living survey. So I'm going to go ahead and choose gourmet. I'm going to go on to transportation. So I've only got $855. So see up at the top how it actually is showing them what they've spent on each spending category. So I'm going to go ahead right now, and hopefully the pop-up shows you in Zoom. But if I select the luxury sports car, it's going to prevent me from continuing on. You really can't get past it and overspend. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the new car instead and see how up here the remaining funds turns red and they've got a warning. So I'm going to have a hard time choosing the minimum communications category. So I'm going to go back to mid-cost used car and fix that so I can afford all of my expenses. So communications, we did make some changes in this. Again, for those of you who've used it for before, previously, we finally broke down and got rid of landline. That was a big debate on my part because I'll be honest, I'm in classrooms in Maine where lots of kids still have landlines and they know what landlines are. But we did opt to abandon landline as an option in the digital site. And frankly, the main driver of that was I didn't want users and young adults online to think we were super outdated by including that. So we canceled landline. We've gotten rid of that option. And so now they've got cell phone, internet, or cell and internet. So I'm going to go ahead and choose cell and internet. And then my final choice, I've got extras. So they don't have to select any of these. Just like with the classroom kit, they can purchase all of them or none of them. And I've got $55 left. So I'm going to buy a video game. What the heck? That's what my kids would probably do if they were playing here today. Spend their last $50 on a video game. All right, so this is my results page that I mentioned to you. So again, they've got the video that they can watch. They've got their results so they can see what they put aside for savings, their student loan, their housing, all of those decisions that they made. And so they can either print here, they can pull up, just click PDF and save that PDF to send to you, or they can log out or start over. Now, if they click compare, this is the new feature that I was telling you about that allows them to look at their results compared to other students. So they've got architect, I was an architect, but then it shows them the results for a civil engineer or a zoologist, wildlife biologist. So this is a really cool new feature that I think educators are really going to like because it gives them that comparison and look at the results, depending on, the decisions that they've made. And you'll see the big decision here with civil engineers, they decided to live with their parents. And that's the big difference in their remaining funds. All right, so I want to log out and show you real quickly. When you go to claimyourfuture.org, this is where, you know, all of the additional information that I mentioned is available. So if you click on resources, you'll find all of the things I mentioned: the educator guide, the budget worksheet, certificate of completion, all of the resources. There are some quick videos that kind of describe how it works in a classroom. So that's where you'll find all the educator resources. Then if you want to order a kit, you'll click on order kits and you'll fill out this inquiry form. And we'll send you a kit. So that's where you'll go if you're from Maine and you want to order a kit. If you end up accidentally on the national site, claimyourfuture.org, where you click on, you're not within the Maine, the FAME site, and you're being asked to purchase a kit, just know that you're in the wrong place. And if you go to FAME, claimyourfuture.org, you'll easily be able to order a kit there. All right, so I'm going to stop my screen share for a moment here. And I want to just real quickly take you to the FAME website, as I promised that I would. Okay, great. I think you can see that. So on the FAME website, when you enter the site, famemaine.com, you're going to see the financial wellness section. When you click on financial wellness, you will see that we have our resources categorized in 3 ways: build, grow, and invest. So build your financial wellness is our resources for you as an individual, for adults, to help, strengthen their financial knowledge and improve their financial behaviors. The grow section is for those of you who are educators and you want to strengthen or build your students, or if you're a parent or caregiver, your child's financial wellness. And then the invest section is all of our employee financial wellness resources. So I just wanted to show you kind of how things are organized and where to find it. If you go to the news section, I mentioned that email that we sent out. There's a press release there that includes all of the new resources as well. So if you want to go to news, you'll find kind of the highlight of those resources. So definitely check that out. And then in order to join our mailing list, you'll just go to famemaine.com/join. I'm just going to take you to that site here. So this is our join page. You can sign up to receive email alerts, and if you click financial wellness in your category and enter your information, we'll add you to our mailing list as well. So we hope that you'll check that out. Check out the financial wellness resources, and let us know if you have questions, ideas for enhancements for Claim Your Future. Please order a kit. One thing I want to mention before we conclude, I mentioned we did that major refresh of the digital site recently, and we've just launched that. We will be doing a full refresh of the kits over the summer. So in August, early fall, we will have new kits available for you with all of that, those enhancements that we talked about, the tax calculation enhancements, the student loan decision making. We'll have those enhancements, updated career and cost of living data. So we will have new kits available for you, but we still have kits available now that you can order if it's something you'd like to utilize with your students. And then the last thing I want to mention, because I simply cannot let any financial literacy presentation go by in April, especially without mentioning the Maine Jumpstart Fostering Financial Education in Maine Schools Conference that is coming up on May 17th. So I mentioned Maine Jumpstart earlier. Again, separate, all volunteer nonprofit supported by FAME. We host an annual conference for financial educators, whether it's classroom teachers, school counselors, anyone who's trying to build financial education and wellness in their communities. So we've got a conference, a free conference coming up on Friday, May 17th at the Augusta Civic Center. So if you go to mejumpstart.org and training events, you'll find Fostering Financial Education in Maine Schools. But I just wanted to call that out because those of you that are on the webinar today, I know that the conference will provide you with great training and resources and relevant information for the work that you're doing. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. So with that, that's all I have for today. I think we lost Steve, but he's back. So Steve, feel free to chime in if there's any last things that you want to mention. I don't see anything in the chat in particular that you haven't addressed, Steve. The slides will be available, a recording will be available. We'll make sure that you have access to that. And again, I want to emphasize that we're really, really happy to come in and do an additional training with your students as well.
You should know, Mary, the power of overspending the Claim Your Future budget, because the second you hit that key, my power went out.
Wow. Wow. That's
Right,
incredible.
right
Yeah.
when I was waiting to see what would happen, and the power
Yeah.
went.
Wouldn't that be so cool if we could actually do that, right? That as a consumer, wouldn't it be nice if it all just stopped for a moment to remind me, no, Mary, you cannot make that purchase.
So
Yeah, very, very,
that was
very,
dramatic.
yeah,
That was
very
dramatic.
dramatic.
But no,
Awesome.
I think we
Well,
covered it
thank
all.
you all so much for joining. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you'll check out Claim Your Future. And again, reach out to us if you need more support and training. We appreciate your time and hope you have a great rest of your day and a wonderful financial literacy month.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.